Hello and welcome back to another episode of Land Rover Restorations, where we're restoring my 1955 Series 1 Land Rover. This is going to be a slightly different video than usual because we've had two disasters. First disaster, video camera decided to lose all the footage we've done over the last 2 months. I don't know where it's gone, I don't know what happened, but something didn't work properly in the camera. And it's all gone, but it's not the end of the world because it wasn't that interesting. Well, it was interesting, but it was only us cleaning stuff up and sanding stuff down and all the rest of it. So it's not the end of the world, no mechanical issues or anything like that, which we missed, so all good. Second disaster was I painted the wheels, got the wheels shot blasted, and thought, where should I store them? After I paint them red, where should I store them? Where's the best place? I'll store them on the axles. So I picked them up, put them on the front axle, did the wheel nuts up, went to the back, and the wheel nuts didn't fit. The wheel nuts on the back is 16mm. I'm pretty sure the original should be 9/16 like it is on the front. So I couldn't really figure this out. Anyway, cut a long story short, started looking into it, ground all the numbers back on the axles so I could identify them, and they're the wrong axles. The axle on the rear is from a short wheelbase Series 3, and the axle on the front is from a long wheelbase Series 2, annoyingly. So I thought to myself, should I leave it, forget about it, ignore it? But I can't. I think they had to be changed. Two reasons why. One I'll show you in a minute, and the second reason is just because just for peace of mind, I wanted it to be as it should be. All correct and original, correct engine, correct axles, all correct colours, so I have to change them. I'll show you that in a minute. So last thing we were doing on the last video was finishing off the wiring loom, sanding the wings down, bits and pieces like that. So what I will do now is show you how we got on with all that, because like I say, we've missed it a bit, so I'll show you that. And so there we have it. Last time we were sanding these wings down, so the videos that we lost were just basically showing you how we do this. Take it back down to bare metal, fill in the imperfections with a filler, spray it with etch primer, and then undercoat, and then the red top coat. Like I say, all this paint is from Paintman, which seems to be a good supplier. These are little buffers because the doors fold all the way back round and knock into these buffers. So like I said in the original videos, I don't want it to be like totally and utterly 100% immaculate because I think it would look wrong, but all the little odd little dents and, well, not dents, but you're not trying to say all the little bends in the bodywork and things gives it a bit of character. They're only tiny, but rather than being all straight and crisp, I think it just looks better like this. Here's the bonnet. I mean, saying this, the paintwork is a good paint job and it's come out really nice. And so the front, I managed to source some Lucas. These are original Lucas side lights, which are lovely. They're really quality. They come in an old dirty box with old original Lucas. Like I've said before in previous videos, once all this stock is gone, you know, they're not making it anymore, so you won't be able to get stuff like this, which is a shame. And these indicators here are from Holden's, because obviously this vehicle wouldn't have had indicators, so they were aftermarket holes that somebody put in, and these are Holden vintage, closest I could get to looking right. There's the number 7. We must have cleaned all that up. That's all steel, ground all that back to metal, again etch primed it, painted it, drew the number 7 on and then painted that with black hammerite. Same with the badge. I cleaned all the badge up and then I painted all the back in with black hammerite. I think it looks quite good. We did have a bit of a disaster with the bonnet. I have been using half decent etch primer. I went into this shop locally and they had etch primer for sale, which was only about £6–7 a can, so I bought it and it was rubbish, and I sprayed it on the bonnet and it didn't stick. So basically we had to take it all off again, which was a nightmare. But this is good, proper etch primer. What's on there now? So there's the bonnet, inside is blue, and the bonnet stay there, I just cleaned it all up, the galvanised, and then just gave it a coat of lacquer. Okay, next we'll have a look at the inside. So yeah, all the window glass is now in, new runners, and inside all the seats. and all the wiring loom. Can't really see this too well, so quite dark in here. All the switches. The only bit of wiring left to do is that for the when I source the windscreen wiper motor. Okay, so that's us all back up to date with the vehicle, all looking good. So the axles in a 1955 Land Rover, which this is, should have semi-floating rear axle on it. And a semi-floating rear axle and fully floating rear axles are your two choices. All series Land Rovers, the new ones like 2.3s, are fully floating. Fully floating basically means that you have your, that's the rear axle casing that come off of this. That's the series 1, the incorrect one. So you have your half shaft, which goes in the end. So your half shaft goes in there all the way down and then clunks into the differential there. Half shaft comes out all the way to here, and then on this end of the half shaft you have all this. So you have your driving flange and your cap and everything. So basically a fully floating rear axle. When you look at it from the outside, you see that. So that's what I'm saying. If I would have left it on the first show or first series Land Rover thing I go to, somebody would have gone, "You've got a fully floating rear axle," and that's totally incorrect. And I didn't know that, but I do now. You should have a semi-floating, and a semi-floating, all you see on the end is that. So your wheel goes on there, and you see that. So that is the obvious difference between a semi-floating and a fully floating axle, just visually straight away. So that's why the back one had to be changed. I wasn't going to bother with the front one, to be honest, but when he come back to me, because I use a Land Rover sort of breaker, importer, imports bits, he breaks bits, called John Holmes Cross Channel Classics. I think he's in Brighton way, and I phoned him up and he had a complete rear axle and enough bits to make a front axle. So I basically bought them both off him. They all need reconditioning. There's the rear axle. So obviously I've taken the diff off. We're working on the rear axle first, get that one done. So diffs come off, all the end, the back plates, everything's come off. We've just started cleaning it up. There's the dog, keeping guard. There's all the brakes. And there's the front axle over there. So again, front axle, you can see it's all just needs recommissioning, taken apart, new seals, new bearings, etc. The good thing is, I hope, is on there where your swivels and everything bolt onto the axle casing. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you remember, but earlier on in the videos we did all the swivel setup and everything. I'm pretty sure I can just unbolt those swivels and just put my swivel straight on. I'm pretty sure exactly the same, so that won't be too bad. Get all the axle cleaned up, get the diff taken off and checked, and then put the ends on. So I searched the internet high and low to try and find out about these semi-floating axles, because obviously I want to take them apart and I want to put new bearings and stuff in. I could find no information at all. So I now know how to do it, so I'm going to do you a video, or not a video, but in a minute we will show you how it's done. Here's the wheels. This is the start of the saga, so they're all looking good. When I first started to put them on, I realised something was wrong. I don't know why I didn't check it really. I should have checked it when I was first doing it. Or I should have ground the numbers down, checked it, and realised they were the wrong axles. But it's one of those things, they were on there and I just thought they were correct. So right, yeah, we will have a look at the semi-floating axles now. Okay, so as I said, semi-floating axle, that is how it comes. That is one complete bit. Half shaft, wheel hub, the whole lot, all in one. This is all just made all as one piece. Well, I presume it wasn't made as one piece, but the half shaft sort of welded into place, so you know that the half shaft is all one piece. So this half goes into your differential, and that's how that half's supported in the diff. This half out here needs supporting, so you need a wheel bearing. So what we have is a bearing housing. Drop the camera down a tiny bit so you can just see the bits there. Whoa, not that much. So, a bearing housing, which is that bit. That goes over the half shaft, and that bit there bolts onto your axle casing. So that is the setup. That is what you see from the outside. There's only one bit missing off this. It's the back plate for the brakes. So the back plate for the brakes goes in here, which holds your brake shoes and your caliper and all the rest of it. So to take this apart, that's all pressed on there with force, so it's all forced in place. I had to buy, I can probably see it in the background, well I didn't have to buy, but I've got myself a nice new 12, 14 ton press. That was the only way to get this apart. It's pressed on so hard that there is no other way of doing it. So I've always wanted to press anyway because it's good for doing wheel bearings and everything else. I had to make up these. I made up these, which is just a bit of, well, box section girder really, and some legs, and two either side, and lipped that under there like that, and then pushed the top of this down. I'll set it up-ish on the bench and then show you on here, and it might make a bit more sense. Yep, so we just made these up. Like I say, a couple of bits of box section and this bit of steel, and basically two of these. So you got that one that side, and one the other side, and then that went on there like so. And as you pushed on the top of here with the press and held that in place, that obviously comes off. But there's probably other ways of doing it. No, there is lots of other ways. Just as long as you hold this somehow and then push that bit down, you could push. There's lots of ways you could do it. I've seen these tools where people have made out of an old axle that you bolt on up the top, and then it's got like a screw thread in that pushes down on that. So you push down on that and hold that still, and it pushes it off. Either way, whatever works, works. So yeah, that's the new press. Gauge on the top, and then obviously you've got all the different levels. The good thing about these ones is you've got the height. So with a half shaft of a series like this, you need the height to get the half shaft underneath, or you need to get that plate down. You can drop this right down. So you have that like that. So the first job of reassembling this, so if you were to take it apart, you just pop that off, but you have that, which is like a bearing retaining collar, and that slides all the way down onto the back of the bearing, and the bearing sits down in there. That's the old bearing. So if you were to assemble it now, you'd get that, you'd get the old bearing, or you'd get a new bearing, and you'd push that right down until it goes all the way down to that lip, and then you get this whole housing, and you then push this whole housing straight down until it sits down there. That is the bearing mounted, and then what you do after that is you get this, which is like the retainer. I think the best way to put these on is to heat it up so it swells right up, and then drop it down, and it'll go down onto the back of the bearing and hold the bearing in place and shrink to fit on the tube. Once you've done that, it's just a case of putting your oil seal in place. That'd be right down. Your oil seal then goes down, and you knock that in or press it in till it's flush. So that is how that all goes together. So I pulled it apart. Obviously, if you're going to give it heat, you've got to be a bit careful with the rubber, but obviously most people replace the rubber anyway, only a couple of quid, and I was replacing the rubber. So when it was all together, that was inside there, and I had to heat this up. So I just got my hot air gun and started heating up, and all the rubber caught on fire and just melted away, but that doesn't matter. That is a housing for the rubber seal, the actual rubber seal. You can see it, it's just in there. You push it into this housing, which I've just done. There's the old one. Push the old one out, push the new one in, and that seals around that. And you can actually see years and years of it spinning. You can actually see the score marks on here. These are about 10 quid each. I bought two new ones there's the rubber to seal nicely. It's not going to seal very nicely on that. So, got new bearings, which are here. These are not so cheap. These were about 70 quid each, but you know, I expect these have been in there since 1955. So they do a lot of work. So hopefully that makes sense about how all of that works. Plenty of heat, get it nice and warm so it all expands. Wedge underneath there, push the half shaft down, pop, off it comes, job done. Push your bearings out. I'll just show you the other side actually. It's still complete. So this is the other side, the longer side. There's the bearing housing which I pushed out. See the old bearing is still in there. Not bearing, seal. There's the retainer. Oop. And there's that's how far the bearing goes down, right down to that point. So yeah, just all these recommissioning, cleaning up, putting back together, started cleaning this axle up. Just, if you ever need to find the identification numbers, they're there, and they're there on the long bits on the top. So yeah, correct axle, correct numbers. So okay, that's that for today. That will be it for this video. I know it's a real short video, but it's just a run through of what we've got to, where we've got to. Hopefully the camera won't do what it did last time, and we'll all be good. Saying that, we are getting there now. There isn't a huge amount left to carry on documenting really and showing you. We've got the tub to finish, which I'll quickly show you actually before we go too far. I'll show you that now. I'll show you the tub quickly that we're getting on with, well we were getting on with before the axles turned up, so it took a couple of weeks to get here. So I'll show you the tub now. Yeah, so we got the tub out here, we turned it upside down, put it on the old table, work table, and started cleaning it up, which we were nearly there, and then the axles turned up, so we thought we'd better get on with them. It's covered in all this black, sticky, horrible tar stuff that somebody sprayed. So all of this had that tar over it, but we've got it all off now. So once all the axles are finished and back on, we will finish cleaning this up, prime all of the underside of this, then spray it blue-grey, and then turn it over, and then start working on the outside, which needs some serious panel beating and filling and stuff. It's quite good around this side. See the 10,000 layers of paint back to the nice red. So yeah, this will be the next task. I didn't show you one thing. This bit here was totally and utterly rotten. Gone, I don't know what happened, somebody put a hole through it or something, so I cut the whole section, well, unriveted the whole section down there and down there, and this is a bit off of a Series 3, slightly wider the Series 3, about 320mm, so I just cut it back, rebent it and put it in place. So there's a few things to sort out. These rivets in places just need tidying up. Once it's all done, like I say, we'll spray it, turn it over, then work on the outside. So all good. Axles for now though, get all them done, get them all back on. Like I say, all the swivels and that we can use, brake backs, backing plates we can use. Another thing that I didn't realise was on the back, they were actually 10-inch brakes, so they were even too small, so it was another reason why the axle was wrong. Should have 11-inch brakes, same as the front there. They're 11-inch, it should be 11-inch all round. Which I got on the axle. 11-inch brake drums now. I cleaned all these up, they're ready to be wiped down and then painted. Get all these painted black. Get all these little bits here painted black once you pushed it all together. And then yeah, get the casing painted black and then start putting it all back together. So what we will do is, like I say, that'll be it for this video. No need to go any further with anything. We're all up to date. Everything's ready to go. Axles will be going back on. Know how to do the half shaft, the semi-floating axles now, which is good. Get them all pressed together. Get all that reassembled. Get them back in. getting back on. Wasn't a bad job taking them off. It's easy to take axles on and off. The front were a little bit tricky because you've got the steel linkages on, but absolutely fine. I've unbolted all the bolts recently, so they're all loose, not loose, but all free, so all good. I'll bring you back when the axles are on and we are ready to start doing the bodywork on the tub. You can see that next. Once the tub's painted and on, it's all the silly jobs like the aircraft crash rescue, the bell, the little ladder supports on the back, the spotlight, things like that. That's all got to go on, so that'll be all quite cool. And yeah, we will catch you next time.